Hello, welcome to Cleekly. Today, we're going to introduce how to make a player's guide. A player's guide is an essential part in almost all games. It is aimed to help players get familiar with the core gameplay and allows the players to check any time when they forget. They usually appear as a pop-up, but they could also be in a more primitive ebook format or a larger tutorial level for beginners. A player's guide is like a self-introduction to a game. In this video, we will take the form of UI manual as the goal. To create an interactive UI as the player's guide, we'll be able to click to turn pages, hide or unhide the overall UI, or with the shortcut key. Meanwhile, we'll also introduce how to connect the text information and the UI. First, let's do a quick breakdown of the project. Before we start, we need to decide the content we want to display to players. For example, we want to show a 4-step guide to help players to get familiar with the game. Then, on the UI manual, we will need 4 titles for players to choose from, and a page to display the corresponding content linked to the title. The content in the page may include pictures and text. You may ask, why is this UI designed like this? We split the information into different pages instead of presenting all of them on one page, to make the information more organized and easier to read. In addition, it is designed to read from left to right, in line with the reading habit of most people. For example, the buttons are on the left and the content is on the right. This is also the design of most game UIs. Now, we need to set the title text and the text of the pages. They should be globally visible and allowed to be modified. We can also add pictures in the page. The logic is the same. We will not include this part in this tutorial, but you can try it later on your own. We also want the players to be able to view the guide freely. This means there shouldn't be any restrictions on the order of clicking these 4 titles. At last, any change made to the content should be displayed in real time on the UI manual. According to our needs, we can break down the function into these parts: content pre-store, UI content reading, display and refresh, and UI interaction. Now, let's see how to achieve these functions. First, we need to draw the UI in UI Editor. The UI manual includes a base plate for title text and a page text, as we want the players to be able to click on the titles to see the detailed content. We also need to add events for the 4 titles. In Part 1, Content Pre-Store, we need to store all the content on the UI in variables for easier invocation. The event is game initialization. We set a global variable title text as string to store the title text. As we have multiple titles, we can use array variable to store them all together. In this way, we'll be able to invoke the specific title text according to the index. Then, repeat the steps to set a global array variable page text to store all the text in the page according to its title. In Part 2, we want to achieve the effect of UI content reading. display, and refresh. First, we need to set the initial state of the UI. In Part 1's trigger, after storing the titles and page text, we can set the text for the four widgets title text 1 to title text 4. In initial state, we should display the content of title 1 to players. So, we set page text 1 as the text of widget page text. This is the sequence structure we talked about. All the actions will be executed in order. Then, to allow the players to be able to view the guide freely, we need to add 4 new triggers to refresh the UI and display the corresponding page when they click on the 4 titles. To avoid repetitive work, we can customize a function to refresh the UI. In Function Library, add a new function, refresh UI. First, create a global integer variable, page, to represent the number of pages we should display to players. For example, when players click on title 3, the variable page should be equal to 3, and we should display page 3 to players. Then, we set the text of widget page text to be the array variable page text, and the index is the variable page we just created. Now, we create 4 new triggers. Click title 1, click title 2, click title 3, and click title 4. In trigger, click title 1, the players click title 1. We set the variable page to be 1, then call the function refresh UI to display page 1 to players. The remaining 3 triggers are of the same logic. In the last part, Part 3, UI interaction, we can add 2 functions to make the UI better. First, we want to add a select effect to manifest the interaction. For example, when players click Title 1, the widget of Title 1 will be in a different color. In this way, players will be able to get instant and clear feedback when they interact with the UI. To achieve the effect, we need to add a semi-transparent select effect picture on the UI. It should be of the same size as the title picture. As this effect is combined with the effect of clicking titles and refreshing UI, we can add this effect in function refresh UI. We create a widget array variable, Titlepicture, to store the 4 widgets of title pictures. Then, we get the x and y coordinates of the widget Titlepicture of index page. At last, we set the coordinates of the widget select effect picture to be the coordinates of the widget Titlepicture of index page. Now, when players click title 3, the variable page equals to 3, and we call the function refresh UI. The page 3 will now be displayed to players, and the title 3 will be in selected state. We can also add a switch button and a shortcut key for players to control the whole UI. By clicking the switch button or pressing H, they should be able to hide or unhide the whole UI. Therefore, we create a Boolean variable, UI state, to store the status of the UI. True means the UI is visible. False means it is hidden. Then, use if statements UI_state equals true to determine the status of the UI. If it is true, we hide the UI from players and set UI_state to be false. If it is false, it means the UI is hidden. We display the UI to players and set UI_state to be true. This is the selection structure we introduced before. Do you remember it? The function is finished. We create two triggers, UI switch and key H. When players click the switch button or press H, we call the function switch to hide or unhide the whole UI. The UI is done. Let's test this effect. Now, it's time to review what we learned today. In this tutorial, we create an interactive UI as a player's guide together. We can click to turn pages, hide or unhide the overall UI, or with a shortcut key. We also introduce how to read, display, and refresh the content of the UI in real time. UI is always an essential part for almost all the games. We only make a player's guide here, but it can also be an adventure log, a quest log, a main menu, an overview of character information in RPGs, and a score panel in competitive games. UI panels are an excellent carrier for any information we want to express with high density. Thanks for watching. See you next time.